Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sam, and as you guys probably know, all two of you who watched my last video, I went up north and back home for the holidays, and I traveled, which, would make sense, right? But it's a pain in the ass. Let me tell you something. Transportation, I learned, is just not a fun experience, and I learned that I really didn't want the holidays to happen because of this transportation because it sucks, and there's quite a few different ways to travel that I'm going to tell you about. First off is by car, which is how Jamie traveled up north, and she fucking hated it because it's a long drive from south to north. It's like 900 miles, and she was in a Yaris, which is half the size of a Prius. And she went with like a shit fuck ton of people with all these Christmas presents that were like all around her feet, and she had to be careful not to step on them. And it was terrible because like 4 hours into the trip, everybody hated each other. Like someone would say something and everybody would like roll their eyes like it was some bitch talking, and everybody was like assholes to one another. And then they all like were like, I'm hungry, let's go get food. And they all pulled up somewhere and someone was like, ew, I'm not eating that. That's disgusting. You know what? Fuck you. Just suck it up and eat it. And then, like heaven forbid that her iPod died and she actually had to hear what was going on in the car. Pretty sure she would have gone on a psycho rampage and just killed everybody. Ugh, but I took the plane. Suck it, bitch. She just flicked me off. But the plane ride was like the worst experience of my life because I didn't get to bring Andy with me, for one. He always travels with me, but I couldn't bring him with me, which was so sad. And apparently I'm just this unaccompanied minor terrorist. Okay, so I got into the airport in the south on my way up to the north. And I like get to the guy where like I show him like my ID and my license. And he's like, are you traveling by yourself today? And I was like, yes. He's like, well, where's your mom? I was like, she's driving a car. It's just me. He's like, well, you need to have a mom with you because you're underage. I was like, I'm 20. I don't need my mom with me. Like, I'm 20. And he like didn't believe me. He like asked me like 30 times. It's probably more like 3. But that triple check that I was 20 and that I could be on this plane by myself unsupervised. And then I had to go through like security, which was a terrible thing to begin with because I had to like take off my jacket and like take my keys out of my purse and take my liquids in a bag out of my purse and take off my shoes and take off my belt. And after I practically felt naked, I had to like walk and stand and like go in like the little thing like this, like my legs apart. And I had like this full body x-ray and I fucking sent the sensors off. And the lady's like, well, it looks like you have something on your rear side. I'm just going to have to touch it real quick. So she's like patting down my butt and she's like, it's probably because you have buttons on. And then I had put hand sanitizer on before I like got into the airport because I'm a germaphobe. And so I set off the GSR, so I had to go get my hands tested for GSR. So I was like, cool, so now I have GSR on my hands and a fucking bomb in my ass. Thanks, airport. Oh, not to mention, I look 12, 20. Okay, I promise you guys, I'm 20. And then on the way home from the airport, like when I was going from north to south, I got a Ninja Turtle backpack for Christmas. And the guy was like, are you traveling by yourself today, little girl? I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm really not that little. And he's like, well, don't you have a mom with you? You have to have a parent signature. I was like, I'm 20. He's like, you have a Ninja Turtle backpack. I was like, I handed you my license. He's like, well, why don't you act your age instead of a 13-year-old? I was like, bitch slapped this guy. But you know what? I had a flight to catch, so I didn't really worry about it. But I didn't set off the sensors on the way home. I was really proud. I made sure that I didn't have any buttons on my pants and I didn't put on hand sanitizer, so I didn't have, an ass bomb. And then, like, before you're allowed to, like, leave and, like, take off, you have to hear, like, the spiel. And so one of the things they tell you is no smoking. Like, when the fuck have you ever been allowed to smoke on a plane? Like, okay, let's just, I have a really good idea. Let's just go 35,000 feet in the air in a confined space with all these strangers and just poison them all with cigarette smoke. And you have to. No! You haven't probably been allowed to smoke on a plane in like 30 years. And if you haven't been on a plane in 30 years, clearly the person you're visiting is not that important to you. Just stay the fuck home. It's not worth it. And then the other thing that I learned while traveling on the airport by myself, other than being unaccompanied minor terrorist at the age of 20, is that I really hate slow people. Like, I had a connecting flight, and I had to get from one side of the airport to the other and get stuck by every slow motherfucker who just dilly-dallied around and just played on their cell phone and took their sweet little time. And I was like, bitch, I need to get home. I have work in the morning. If I am late, your motherfucking ass is calling my boss and telling him why. And I almost missed my flight, and it was terrible. And then I almost missed my flight going home before my connecting flight because everybody was slow going through security, and the guy was being a douchebag and told me I needed to act my age when I'm 20, which I really friggin' hated. But I made it home safely, and so did Jamie, through our designated transportation. And I hope you all had a terrible time transportation for the holidays too, and you should tell me about it so me and Jamie feel better about our lives. And you should tell me what you did for New Year's so I cannot feel bad about the fact that I spent New Year's by myself, home alone, again. And you should subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video every Friday, and in 3 more episodes you guys finally get to meet Jamie, so it won't just be Andy and his dorkness. Shut up, Andy. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'll see you next Friday, guys. Peace, love, and rockets.